Hey gang, this is Fillmore, just letting you know that if you enjoy our podcast, quite frankly, a Howard Stern podcast, and you'd like to donate some money for the upkeep, or you want to request certain clips, please donate to our Patreon page at patreon.com/JimFix. That's JIMFIXX. You can donate as much as you want for as long as you want. There's absolutely no obligation.
Honestly, I just thought you think it was kind of like funny. This chick's real into you, and then like, hey, if you're really into her, you know what? I swear to you, on the stack of Bibles on my children's life.
My point is,
that was my thought.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I believe you then, but I don't.
Not to embarrass you.
I know you believe in the Bible, and that means a lot.
No, I said my children's lives. That's what I'm being greedy.
No, if you get a girl on the air who likes fat guys, I'll insult this guy who I say is my friend on the air and go, "Can you believe this hot chick likes fat guys? I'll do my bro, the gayest fucking thing ever, bro." Fuck says that? And
I do, douchebag.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Is douchebag better?
Yeah, and you want to know something? I thought you were a bro. Honestly,
I don't want to be a bro. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Why are you
treating me like I'm a shithead?
I am not. I would do this for any of my bros.
This is dumb, bros. This
all right, fuck you.
Look, I'll fuck you. So leave your
She doesn't want to just fuck you. She's looking at you.
I don't want to date her. And I was against the dial-a-date thing. And then that girl, she was a little bit older. She was, I don't know how much older, but definitely older. She, was out in the professional world out there, and it was more of a woman just in the sense of her life experience. And I actually hit it off with that girl. Right. And I tried very hard to make that work, and it turns out she had a boyfriend. Howard News found that she had a boyfriend, so I've been kind of burned going down this road before.
You could say, I'll get in the studio, and I'll get there, and there'll be free food, and I'll take some free food home to feed my kid who hasn't eaten in a week, because I cashed my check from Chuckles in Mineola to buy Coke from the guy on the LIE who sells the oranges.
And then Levy picks her up and plies her with drugs and gets her up here, and she's stoned out of her mind. And she goes, I like fat guys. I like fat guys. Howard and Gary fall for it like the suckers that they are, and they get her in here, and she's in a bikini, and I'm giving her my number, and Levy's outside getting free crumpets for the family. What if I strolled in a girl who's into geeky-looking, pelican-fucking odd guy?
I cared about you.
And she's got a fetish. She's into pelicans.
Bring her in. So you're saying I look like a pelican?
Yeah, you're saying I'm fat. The whole segment is about... The whole segment is about this hot chick somehow liking an obese, disgusting guy.
Fuck off. You're a fucking asshole.
Welcome, everybody, to another installment of QF, a Howard Stern podcast, a podcast about Howard Stern specifically. I'm your host, Fillmore, a.k.a. Jim Fix, a.k.a. Fillmore Fingers. With me, of course, is Sam.
Hi, QF fam.
And, of course, making his triumphant return from the psychological abyss that is Howard's brain, what little whatever almonds he's got left in it. Bob D, coming from Chicago. How you doing, Bob?
Good. How are you guys?
See, Bob sounds all pimp. Now he's all hooked up. We got him a new mic, and now he sounds now it's a level playing field altogether. We are going into the bro fight, ladies and gentlemen. We decided not to announce it. We want you guys to hear it when it gets released. And we're going to be tackling this piecemeal, but specifically, Bob is in for the bro fight itself. Sam and I will do the extra color commentary for the preamble, the girl coming in, Jen, and the background of the wrap-up show, and possibly even the one after the bro fight. Now, this was such a huge seminal moment in Sirius, especially the Howard Artie kind of the relationship between them. What do you guys remember from hearing this the first time? It's a long time ago, but what was your first thought, Bob, when you first heard this?
I thought that's the beginning of the end, honestly. I knew that Artie had crossed a line, and I knew Howard was pretty upset about what Artie said, and Artie was putting up boundaries, and I just felt like nothing good was coming of it. I felt like it was significant even when I heard it happen.
Sam?
I felt it was a train that really sped up during this fight. So I felt like Artie was on track and getting annoyed from a few things that the show stuff that was going on the show before, and then all of a sudden it just hit warp speed where it was like there's no stops. This is going there. But I could tell previously before this incident that things weren't okay with Artie, and I could tell he was getting agitated. And like just like when we were doing the 15 Foundation and Robin, and I could tell when Howard's hitting on these notes that he's agitated with Robin. Before this bro fight, I could tell that Howard was getting agitated with Artie.
Yeah, and as you guys will hear in subsequent, I don't know how this is going to work, but either way, there's the wrap-up show following the appearance of this girl on the show is where Artie really explains the roots of why he was pissed, and none of it was helped by Howard's nonsense about it being about the show, and you'll hear it yourselves in this bro fight, and we'll get right into it because it is a long clip. And so we're going to start it off with Robin's particular brand of bullshit. If everybody remembers, what's the phrase?
I heard that. I heard something about
Again.
No, but she starts it off. What's the famous phrase?
Hello.
Hello,
that's correct.
jerk. Yep.
Sam for 200 and the Daily Double. Here we go, guys.
Hey now.
Hello there, jerk. Artie called you a jerk yesterday.
What?
You nitwit.
Why'd you call me a jerk?
I don't remember. When did I do that?
On the wrap-up show, he called you and Gary jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way,
That you are.
I heard about
Term
this.
of effect.
Now I know what you're talking about. I want to tell you something. I will never, ever again attempt to bring a girl in here who says she's into...
Okay, we had to stop it there for the 30 seconds for start off. But how about that?
I'm sorry. Who's playing the music during the back of this where it's like, can you lower it? Who's in charge of that? Like crescendo.
Howard, he's completely in charge of the board, so he can determine when that's going off, when the volume gets louder, when he wants it potted down completely. But it might be Fred who starts it, but Howard's the one who controls the volume all the time.
Oh, well, that makes
sense. Robin in this whole fight is just fucking insufferable. This is some of the man, you just really want to reach through the fucking speakers and grab her. It's so bad.
Well,
you know what?
Yeah,
she's insufferable, but lately, because Fillmore and I have been tackling the 15 Foundation, the Sally Jesse Raphael stuff, I am at my limit, and we aren't even like a second in, and it's hello, jerk.
Yeah,
I'm ready to get the machete out.
You want to just open her little room and. You want to open her room and throw a tear gas can in there and shut the fucking door on her?
Rubber bullet, Robin.
Well, the worst part of it is, when you get a little Robin overload, because not only did we do the 15 Foundation, and we're continuing to do it, we did another Robin-centric episode from... I told you about this one, Bob, but I don't want to give any details away, from mid-90s. And she's just as bad. Like, you realize there's been no progress made whatsoever psychologically. So we'll continue with this.
Artie, I'm going to tell you something.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'm fucking shocked by your reaction, like calling me a jerk. And also, like, honestly, I said to Gary, I go...
What did you do so wrong?
Sure, it's interesting, but, like, I just know sometimes it's hard to meet women. And one of the cool ways to meet them, if you have this job, is like if they walk in here and they're kind of cute.
And how do you know that something spectacular won't happen? Like their eyes will meet and they are the two perfect people for each other.
And I swear, I was like kind of like doing it like I'd want someone to do it for me.
And
okay, by the way, you notice that Artie has not said a fucking word. And it's not for no reason either. Sam?
Mm-hmm.
I like how it started. See how it started? She said, "Oh, hello, jerk. He called you a jerk." And he pretended at first that He didn't know what she was talking about. Then he obviously knew this was happening. He goes, oh, I know what you're talking about. And then he parrots what Robin says. So neither of them actually listen to the wrap-up show, or they're just, building this false narrative. And they already have both had it in their heads how we're going to get you.
Yes. And so, Bob, I was going to say, Bob, do you think this was pre-planned? We know that Howard was planning to talk about this for sure. But do you think he talked to Robin about it and commiserated and said something like, "We got to get him"?
I definitely think he did, and I definitely think that she was told to just have Adam and set the whole thing up, bring it up early, bring it up as quick as you can, and let's jump on him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how much of my analysis you want me to go into right now.
As much as you like, sir.
I can give you
please.
sort of like.
Let's. I want a preface of what you think they're thinking before they pretend this.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I think is going on. Just to give a larger frame to just the cycles that I see with MPD, the cycles that I see with Howard and his employees specifically. But so the way that someone with narcissistic personality disorder will get someone to change their behavior that they don't like, behavior in someone else that they don't like. So let's say like a narcissistic husband doesn't want his wife going out with a certain group of friends. He'll start to insult that group of friends. He'll start to become abusive towards the behavior. He won't be direct. He won't say, I don't want you going out with X, Y, and Z. He'll start to become abusive towards it. He'll start to make fun of them. He'll start to make fun of what they're associated with. He'll start to just take these shots. So the thing with Howard and Artie, in my view, Howard is very aware of what Artie's bringing to the show. And as much as I think people speculate that he became jealous of Artie or whatever, I don't really think that he was. I think that he viewed Artie as at this point becoming essential to the show's success, which is always his, end goal, because success for the show means success for him, not everybody else. He's the one that eats. Everybody else gets to pick up. And Artie's being insanely underpaid either way.
Yes.
So what I think is going on and has been going on, like Sam commented, is that, they're Howard's annoyed with Artie. Now, the reason why he's annoyed with Artie is because Howard is starting to see, and he's not wrong here, Artie is playing with fire on a lot of different levels, from his weight to substance abuse to alcohol to gambling. I mean, say what you want, but all of those things could go south really fucking fast for anybody. And sure. Artie's even sort of entertaining that idea. Like, I may wind up waking up, I might wind up not waking up tomorrow, or, he's kind of being more open about that. So Howard doesn't really have concern about Artie. He has concern about himself and his show and his product and his money. So I think Howard wants Artie to change his behavior. And the way that he's sort of done that is he started to, on a routinely basis, abuse and insult his eating, his gambling habits, saying he's a loser with gambling, saying that, making fun of his Subutex, his drug use, his alcohol. He's sort of like, it's that way of them getting you to change your behavior. And so I think what had happened at this point, and it happens in a lot of people, it's sort of their breaking point with anyone who's in a relationship with someone who has psychopathy or MPD, is that all this abuse becomes so second nature and so constant that it becomes the norm in the relationship, and the abuser doesn't actually think that what they're doing is wrong because it's become so commonplace. And on top of that, it reaches extreme levels. Like, I've seen cases where, like, someone's spouse has MPD and they'll bring in the neighbors to make fun of the other spouse, or they'll humiliate kids. What were you going to ask?
So when you're saying this, you think that because remember it was all fun and games, like the addiction, the drinking, the sloppiness, the eating. It was fun. It was fodder for fun. But then it became where he realized he needed Artie. And these addictions now are being, it's almost blasphemous, and he's going to be very upset. And instead of bringing it up in a fun sort of way, it's a critical way. And now all of a sudden we're concerned about your health and we care about you.
It's become abusive. And I think Howard does care about his health, not out of like the way that you care about a friend's or family member's health, but he's looking at it. This is my biggest asset. This is the captain of my team. I think
he's
at
the
this
golden
point,
goose.
He's voted as being like the most essential member of the staff, or he was voted the most likable. Yeah. So Howard's aware of this. And see, the reason why Howard's not jealous is because Howard always takes credit. It was my idea to bring Artie on. Therefore, whatever Artie does that's a success means that I'm a success because I had the vision for him. You know, you hear that a lot, how he goes into how it was his idea to bring him on. So going back to what I was saying, sometimes when people... It's almost like a constant brainwashing, and even the victim will get used to the abuse. But sometimes it'll reach a level to where it becomes so extreme, like we're bringing in outside people and making entire bits out of humiliating me. Like this is getting extreme. Like when you start bringing in outside people to facilitate more abuse, I think that Artie kind of hit a point. And in a lot of ways, what Howard did do wasn't that out of the norm, and in his mind I do think that Howard was genuinely surprised, but that's just the point that anyone who's abused suffers or reaches, and they just go, you know, I'm not doing this anymore. Like there's boundaries that are going to go up, or I'm at least going to convey to you that I don't approve this, and that's what I think happened.
So in if I can sort of get back into that a little bit, in your estimation, Bob, Artie was conditioned to receive this sort of passive aggressive bashing as part of the show, part of the formula, but internally or consciously or subconsciously, I'm not sure which way, he consciously he had enough of being a punching bag for the purposes of a show bit. And no, this fat thing, it's like someone saying, look, I can make fun of my weight, but I really don't like it when other people make fun of it. I think that's what really got to him.
You're bringing in now we're bringing in a complete stranger that I don't know, and you're using this as another tool. Like you guys are really starting to get calculated, and this is getting to be too much. I just think Artie hit that breaking point there. And he even sort of alludes to this later on when he's talking about how Howard brings things up that are told to him in confidence, which, by the way, is another hallmark of narcissistic personality disorder. That's something they do frequently. But he's like, you know, things that just get brought up on the show by you, he's like, those are like Scud missiles to other people. Like he's alluding to the fact that this abuse has become so, like the level of devastation in the abuse is so extreme, and it's become so casual that like you don't think anything of it. So yeah, that was sort of my view on what happened here.
Sam, you wanted to say?
I just think it's like it's almost like an orchestrated hit, like in a mob movie where it's like they start bringing these characters in, like, oh, you're going to start working with this guy. Okay, who's this guy? And all of a sudden you're in a car with two people in the back seat, and it's just like, no, I'm not getting in this fucking car. I'm calling you out.
Hello, Carlo.
And look at what happens whenever you put up boundaries and someone becomes angry. That's a pretty good indication of some sort of abuse going on, because Artie didn't set up any boundary that was unreasonable. No. And they were just saying, no, we get to brutalize you, and you don't get to have. And he's just, I don't even think that he mostly kind of gray rocks him here. Yeah. And because Artie's actually talented and actually extremely witty, you see Howard just gets decimated. I mean, he looks bad by the end of it. Artie definitely bests him here.
Yes.
And but you see that there's one last thing I want to say is you see there's something more going on, because Artie is bothered by these things in Howard, and he's seriously you can tell he's really bothered when those things got brought up on air, and he seems to indicate that there's a huge pattern with Howard. And yeah, anyways.
Yep. Let's continue, guys. We'll do our best to power through.
You could be lighthearted about it. It's not an insult. I don't know where he got this idea that somebody's saying he's hard up.
I don't know, man, but I guarantee you will never, ever. I mean, Fred met Allison on a date on this show. I don't know, man.
That's some pinnacle.
Yeah, it's interesting, but also it's your reaction that's bizarre.
Yeah, you made it even better.
He goes, "Oh, Howard's not my bro." I'm like, "No, I was doing it." How many times did I used to ask?
The funny thing about the Allison, the what he's bringing up now is actually a very different thing. Fred was a loser. He was not a stand-up comic doing the rounds, and as Sam pointed out in a way earlier episode, Artie as a comedian was pulling way better trim than any of the people in that studio could ever have done, just being on the road, because there are all kinds of, musicians get groupies. So do comedians. I mean, they have that appeal. It's like not just a funny guy, but a guy who's getting paid to be funny. They've got this notoriety. Feel they know who they are before they've even met them. So the setup is already done. So for him to go in and then put this girl who was like a Jersey 6, maybe a Jersey 7. I have no idea. Like, she was all right, I guess, if you like that type, but she wasn't anything better than he could get himself. And then what he's going to say on the wrap-up show, which we'll cover again, I guess, that the previous thing he did was the 3 girls that came in studio, and he was supposed to pick one to go on a date with. But to have Howard TV fucking film the date, like to go that far, I'm sure at that point Artie was like, fuck you. My life is not 100% fodder for your fucking show. And he probably went along with it, but I guarantee he was fucking pissed at that time and didn't say it.
Absolutely.
Sam?
And let's pick up on the fact that they are now describing Fred's marriage and how he met Allison in a completely opposite light from when that actually happened, and Fred took her home and met his wife. They painted that in such a negative light. Like, I can't believe you actually took this girl home. Remember, he was late to work. And then they mocked him forever for marrying a listener. His marriage was a complete joke to them and fodder for the show. So it's actually insanely enraging that he thinks his listeners won't remember how he painted the marriage of Fred and Allison, and now he's using it right now as a defense. Like, oh, look, he met his wife on our show.
Right.
See how great that is?
No one remembers the Rainbow Room.
Are you kidding me?
The Rainbow Room fight, Tony and Tina's wedding, all that crap where they got the guy in and Fred walked out and he was all pissed like it was some kind of rosy Disney, Disney show. Bob?
He's gaslighting his audience again.
Totally.
Like, it wasn't, he took a lot of shit over that.
Oh, yeah. And anybody wants to look online, the archives and stuff, you'll hear any forum will tell you the same thing. They were all on Team Artie for this. A few would say, like, he's being too sensitive. But if you knew the insidious nature of how Howard and how he there's no way you could take Howard's side at all.
It's like walking in and someone smacks you every day. And it's just like one day it's just going to be that smack, and you're going to turn around and fucking give them a right hook. They're going to go, what'd you do that for? And you're like, dude, you smack me every day. Oh, it's just a smack. It's like, but you do it every fucking day.
Every day.
And now I'm going to hit you back, and I'm way stronger than you are. And you know that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I see happen.
The other thing, too, Bob, isn't it funny? The smack is Artie was a listener. So he remembers when Allison was on the show with Fred and that whole thing. So he knows what he's saying. Like, look, Fred met Ellison on the show. Well, Artie was a listener. He remembers. He knows how you treated the situation. So you are smacking him all over the place.
Not only that, but Artie also knows the dance of Howard's bullshit. So when the more verbose Howard gets and the more fumpering he knows, the more he's full of shit. because he's now 7 years into the job, 6 years into the job rather, and he's heard it all, he's seen it all. He also knows the behind the scenes stories with the lawsuits. He probably knows about Allison and the divorce at this point. So, and he knows about the Stuttering John thing. So like Stern's no longer this big monolithic whatever. He is very flawed, and he is very he's just incredibly flawed in Artie's eyes, no matter what kind of great, like however grateful he appears subsequently, or even after this, like especially after this fight takes place, it doesn't leave his mind about what he really knows about Howard. It's never gone. It's never absent. So let's continue.
You to hook me up, Gary. Like, go into the room with one of our guests and go, hey, Howard wants your number.
Yeah, but also on the show, we're all about, I mean, we fuck with each other, but we're all about hooking everybody up.
Even when, like Angie Everett, I was doing a push.
And it didn't hurt. Although that had already gone down.
I know, but I didn't know that at the time, so I was pushing it right into your arms.
Hey, I got a segment coming up. I don't know whether to cancel it or not. There's a woman coming in next week.
Cancel it.
No. One last.
No.
Okay, so there you got Bowie coming in. He's another monkey we need to, because Howard needs an army. He can't fight alone. It's not going to be single one-on-one, mano a mano. It's got to be, let me fortify these fucking redoubts, and let me make sure I got my machine gun set up, because it has to be an ambush. It cannot be
I'm
organic.
telling you, the trial, and everybody's already got all the cases made.
Right.
And it's funny, like you commented, Artie's been there for long enough. Artie knows there's going to be some lame ass fucking thing. Like, you got a girl coming in here, it's not going to turn into anything. It's going to be some shitty bit. Like you really think he cares? He doesn't care.
It's gonna, not only is it going to be a shitty bit, but it's a shitty bit that's not on terrestrial, that's even meeting the same amount of listeners as it would have in 2002 if you would have done this fucking shitty bit.
Right. And as you guys will have heard Sam and I breaking down the actual appearance, that it's galling to Artie that this was all done under the pretense of hooking him up, when it really was just content. We need content. We're going to bring this girl in, and then that Bob Levy's involved. So he's like, oh God, another reason for Levy to, and the famous rant, another reason for Levy to be on the show, basically. And I'm being the crowbar, and he's just fucking resentful. And I wouldn't blame him one bit. And I don't blame him one bit for getting as fucking annoyed, because it wasn't just about him saying, oh, she's got a fat fetish and stuff. That was part of the whole shebang. So let's continue.
Come on.
The whole rap on her, she's the female Artie. She wrote us this letter. She's like, I'm just like Artie. She's had drug problems.
No, don't want her here.
So we're going
to go fucking home.
Okay.
And I don't care if goddamn Gina Lola Bridget, his sister, comes in here who was 18
what
years
a fucking appropriate what an appropriate time appropriate reference. Gina Lola. Are you kidding me?
What if Donna Reed came in?
Yeah.
Well, how about the first thing How about the first thing they go to? She's a female artist. She's got drug problems. Like, that's all he is. Like, wow, yeah, thanks. You're starting. Not she's a female comedian or she's from New Jersey. She's a drug addict, just like you. Like, wow, thanks for starting off on a high note with.
Yeah, exactly. And like, this is helping a brother out. We're gonna hook you up with someone with as many issues as you have.
Exactly.
If you give advice to people who have a substance abuse, don't you think it's a good idea to hook them up with other people with substance abuse?
Yeah, that always turns out well.
Just hand somebody who's suicidal, a noose, a couple of syringes, a handgun with like a 15 clip mag, and it's like, anyway, let's see.
It's like, hey, Courtney Love, meet Kurt Cobain. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, no girls.
I don't
want to be called a jerk.
I'll throw you one more.
We did not know that Artie was going to have this reaction when that woman was booked. Don't ruin her life. She wanted to come in.
Nope.
I got one more.
Her life.
What?
Don't ruin her life.
Ruin her life.
Like Robin cares.
Life out of anyone. She made interns' lives living hell. She made girls get naked in front of their brother and said, "We're not going to give you the money until you do."
Well, she didn't make them. She tried to grease the wheels.
Yes, grease the wheels.
Yeah, and then the other that I do love that too. Like every single angle to try to make Artie look like, oh, he's the bad guy. No matter how ludicrous it sounds, they got to throw that at her. So let's continue. Let's continue.
Did Artie feel hard up when we got Carmen Electra to let Artie feel her up?
I don't know. Ask Artie. What are you asking me for?
Like, did you feel hard up about that? Like, that was us helping a brother out.
No.
It's one of my favorite Artie moments ever. He doesn't give a shit about anything they're saying right now.
On top of that,
he just took a bite of something and he's like, no.
It was straight out of Bugs Bunny, and the funny thing is that he gets them laughing, and that only makes them angrier because they're supposed to be piling on him, but he still made them laugh in the middle of it.
That happens a few times in the.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here's Artie on the wrap-up show as long as you bring it up.
I am so uncomfortable with these Find Artie a Date segments. I hate it. I hate that attention. I feel like I'm a pathetic sort of loser who needs this attention. And it's patronizing. It's just so patronizing. Come on, you're my bro. I'm helping you. No, that's not what a bro does. He doesn't bring a girl on who has a...
Yeah, bros don't help other guys out getting chicks. That's what all my bros do.
What is that all about?
That's what we do. I mean...
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Sam.
Okay, so I think it's really weird that Gary said, were you okay with when you got to feel Carmen Electra up? This is a completely different preface. Like, this bit has nothing to do with feeling up a celebrity. Not one thing whatsoever. It's not Carmen Electra gets felt up by a fat drug addict. Now, this is completely separate. So it's really interesting to me that they're putting that up as the argument for why you're not okay with this. And you were okay when I was a bro for this, but you're not okay for this? Like, it's apples and oranges, dickhead.
Also, one thing they pulled the curtain behind a little. They pulled the curtain back a little bit on a wrap-up show that I know I have somewhere, but I can't recall exactly which one. But Artie was saying, and Gary has said, they had sponsors that definitely asked for certain bits to be sponsored for. So like, we want to pay you guys this much, but we want to do an Artie segment. We want to do something with Fred, which I'm sure at that point never happened anymore. But they were willing to pay X amount more if it was an Artie segment. Like it was, we'll give you like options. It can be a Richard and Sal thing. It can be an Artie thing. But that was a way to get more sponsorship money. And so I'm sure this is all also, part of a thing where, like, if it involves Artie, we're going to get more play out of it. That's just that's bottom line, right? So those date segments, whatever, someone behind the scenes is saying, if you can plug us somewhere during this, that would be great. And that's going to be the basis of the bit. So I would be fucking annoyed as hell if I knew that was the machinations behind the whole thing as well.
He's just saying this is all bullshit, guys. And she was brought in here because she's supposedly out of my league, which is bullshit. And that chick is like a 4 or 5. She's not that good looking. Like, even if they're trying to make this bit that this girl is way out of Artie's league, she definitely was not. So on every level, he's just, this is just bullshit.
Mm-hmm. And then if anybody wants to know, she's also was on a reality cooking show more recently. What? Not joking. I have the clip somewhere. It's on YouTube. You can find it. And so she was always kind of looking to angle herself to fame, like just being a fame whore. So
she's like a drug addict Katie Lee Joel.
Well, yeah. I mean, like she's trying to rock the 1997 Rose McGowan look, but comes off looking more like, I don't know, Shirley Temple Black or something. So anyway, we'll go further into this. but and if you see the video, I'll show you. She never changed her look. She just got like 10 years older, and all of a sudden she's not a 4, she's a 3. And it's pathetic. Anyway,
wait a minute. Wait till you do this podcast with me for a few more years.
When we were all single, we were fucking dealing each other's chicks all over the place.
Do it off the air. You always.
Hey, fine. I'm not doing it off the air. Oh, fuck yourself.
We talked about it on the air. You talked about how you got Melissa to come meet Ross and what all of you guys did that night at the dinner.
That's just the way I am. But fuck it, man. If I'm going to be called a jerk for doing that, you know what? Somebody be a jerk to me and so hook me up with hot chicks.
Yeah. Throw girls at you.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, you could be sure I won't call you a jerk.
Okay, so it's predicated on a lie anyway, and a mishearing from Robin. What else is new? Something else she fucks up.
What an incredulous see you next Tuesday Robin is. I'm not even kidding. What an incredulous see you next Tuesday. Yeah. Me. I want to rip her fucking head off when she does this shit. Sorry.
It's arguable. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
They're talking about two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Hooking your friend up, sending this is an on-air bit. This is not even close to the same thing, man. Like we're not even talking about the same thing here. So,
and the only reason, don't you think, that they're being like this? Okay, so it was a bit. Why is that so hard to admit that it's a joke bit that's going to highlight your weight? Okay, fine. But they're not admitting that, which is infuriating. And they're acting like, oh, yeah, we deal each other girls all the time. Remember Melissa? Remember Ross? Remember Gary? Remember Fred? It's crazy.
And also, Artie knows that Melissa allegedly was the ex-hooker that Ross married. She's the pretty woman thing. And if you see her, she looks exactly like some hose bag. I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult people who I have no affiliation with and know anything about, but she just looks. She had a bit part on Sex in the City.
That's what I was going to say. They had an opening, so that episode where Samantha Jones is having a party at a guy's house that she used to be with.
Right.
She has the party, and these two bimbas have. They crash the party and they say, oh, well, this person said I could use the house whenever I want, even though she's hosting the party. She comes out with these giant tits. They had a party for Melissa Zapin, and she gave a speech like she won an Academy Award for that 2-second part of her flashing her tits on screen.
That was the sum total of her acting acumen. So she got these two fucking pontoons that were drooping further than they were almost going through the earth to China. But
they're fake.
Yeah, I presume so, but God. Anyway, so you're right though, Bob. This bit compared to supposedly hooking people up off the air, there's no comparison. And already he knew all this when he was going through it. So all he's just hearing. Ever see that Far Side cartoon where the guy is talking to his dog like, "Here, Bowser. Hey, Bowser, how's it going?" And then you see the dog imagining what he's hearing, and it just goes blah 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 Bowser, blah 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 Bowser. That's Artie listening to this nonsense, just waiting for the next fucking mind to be set off. And
because he knows this is all bullshit. He's like, I know how you guys are. You guys aren't friends. No one's hooking anybody else up with anybody. Like that.
Exactly.
He's not playing the game right now.
Yeah.
Most likely Howard Zafrosia.
Let's keep going.
Boy, if girls used to be marched in the air and say, hey, let me see what's going on here.
Yeah, right.
And if a girl wrote a letter that she was attracted to me, we'd book her right on the fucking show.
Absolutely, regardless of the reason.
I'll do it for myself. Call me hard up. I am hard up. Fuck it. I want to know.
You want to see what's interested.
Why not? It's like going fishing, except they clubbed the fish over the head.
Throw it back if you don't want it.
Yeah. They starved the fish for 5 days.
Sam?
Could you imagine Artie during Cocktober? I'm hard up. And then he's like, anybody send your pretty penis pics to Ralph or me. Let me judge.
Artie would have been 500 pounds. He would have been the size of that guy Tiny who called in and had people he paid to wipe his ass for him because he was that large. I'll never forget Tiny.
Make it a little easier. Dude, you got your wish. You can be sure you ain't meeting any chicks through me. Thanks. Guarantee you.
I don't need to meet chicks through you.
No, you don't.
If he met the perfect girl for you now, he'd keep her away.
Oh, yeah.
Fine.
You go fuck yourself.
He's not going to meet the perfect.
Sit home and jerk off.
He could meet the woman of your dreams.
Oh, Robin, please.
See, like, you know what's interesting is Artie became like the average listener. Like, Artie, like you are Artie, you know, like at this point, like you're listening to it and like I'm thinking the same thing he is right now. You're like, yeah, he's gonna meet the woman of my dreams. Like, shut the fuck up, you know, like. I think that makes him more endearing. Is like he's actually the audience in the studio, you know.
Right. Well, he was the representation of the audience. I mean, we didn't all do heroin and we didn't all eat pizza gain, he called it, and we didn't drop our vowels when we were pronouncing Italian luncheon meats. But he it was just, if you were enough of a super fan at the time when you heard the show, there's no way you would have bought any of Howard's bullshit wholesale. You just couldn't.
Yeah.
I also love just how he gray rocks in such a dismissive tone. Like, oh, Robin, please. Right.
Because he knows her like a fucking book as well. That's the thing I think those two forgot. He was like a super fan of the show before he became a cast member.
That's what I said.
Yeah. So I mean, but they don't realize that. Like, they're forgetting that he knows their goddamn history. He did not have a hard drive with all their fucking shows and cut it up and put on YouTube.
Whatever you want, man. You want to know something? Fred met the woman of his dreams, so fuck you.
Okay. But you know something? Artie's a different guy. So.
That's right.
Yeah, he's
the woman of his dreams that he almost left like 6 times. Fred, he fought on the air and threatened to fucking leave when she was working on to play Kissing Some Dude. That was the woman of his fucking dreams. Or Fred was so fucking hard up, he would have screwed a fucking pumice stone that showed interest in him.
He literally acted like a guy who was 15 to life and just got out.
Right. Fred was Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You know, he's gonna marry the first girl he lays.
Yeah, that was always the impression that I got.
Fred?
That whole thing. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. Just because he had no game. He was just a gameless dweeb and played sound clips and didn't actually have the balls to say anything to anybody. So,
guy you can't do anything for.
You know, I think Artie's one of those very private people when it comes to
he's very bitter. Because most people say, hey, this is kind of fun. I get the preview. I tell you. Chicks. And but he's taking it like he feels he's a loser, so he's saying to me, "You're making me look like a loser."
I think he's also looking at taking a little too seriously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what we're saying.
It was as serious as a heart attack to him yesterday when that girl came in. Because I mean, I was a little like, wow.
Now Fred's also full of shit because there's no one taking more umbrage to stuff on the show being said about him than Fred. Like, he's being too sensitive. What are you talking about? You hate Howard. You hate the fact that he's been belittling you your entire career, talking about you'd be nowhere without him. And you know exactly where Artie's coming from. So why are you trying to fucking protect Howard at this point?
I just hear a bunch of people scrambling, you know, and like they're all trying to get together. And like, you're always going to look bad when the person is calm that you're talking to. You know, no matter how much energy you get together and how much you're scrambling to, like, Artie's totally calm. He doesn't give a shit. And you hear even Howard's clamoring and Robin and Fred, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And Artie's just completely calm. And when you hold your calm, you're always going to look better in these situations.
So, Bob, in this case, would you say Howard would have been way more comfortable if Artie had been, like, flying off the handle? Or if he'd been clearly...
well, that's...
Like the whole goal was to make him get as uncomfortable as possible, but in a way that Howard could make Artie look like shit, because Artie's making it like,
That's what people with MPD do, is when someone's calm, they try to elicit a response so that they can become the victim. So if Artie starts becoming the aggressor here and starts saying certain things, then they'll become the victim, which is what winds up happening. Once Artie just goes, let's reverse this, let's say blah, 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 we bring in Pelican, then, oh, I'm a victim. You're calling me that. So that's really what they want to do. They want to elicit that emotional response. That's why there's so much power in gray rocking, is because you're not giving them a response either way, and that's realistically what they want. So.
You're taking away their supply. Sam?
I'm good.
Okay.
Artie's really like being vicious to this girl, but you know what? It's like I don't know if it was that or maybe because of the reason she was attracted to him.
But you heard what he said. I don't trust you. It's like, dude,
This is such a stupid conversation.
Oh, my God.
No,
now we're being attacked for this conversation. We can't have any conversations we want anymore.
Go ahead. Talk as much as you want.
Well, you're out of line calling me a jerk.
Wow.
Okay, yep.
This reminds me of, on some news shows when they're all echo chambers and they're just repeating things that, I don't know, are probably just conspiracy nonsense. And they're all like, yeah, that. And then there's the one person who's like, no. Like, no, flat out no.
Right.
You guys are just, you're not even on the same planet. You're just repeating things amongst each other like bing, 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 like a pinball machine. And I'm the flap on the pinball that's going to let it go.
Hardy's the tilt.
It's not happening.
Go ahead, Bob.
Again, I'm telling you, the reason outside of Artie's talent, why he was so endeared by the fans was because he is the subconscious of the fans. And even what he's saying there, this is a stupid, it's like what we're thinking. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we're thinking. Like, this is stupid. Why are you guys going on about this? So, like, he resonates so much because no matter how much money Artie has, he's never, like, to us, he's still just one of us. And Howard and Robin are Martians. You know what I mean? Even Gary is to a certain extent, but is like, he's always there to be our voice in that studio. So, like, again, just now, like, this is stupid. And it was.
Well, yeah, because it's not like when Artie made his first million, he put on white gloves and started dressing with fucking tails and top hat and started walking around, even though he did throw a few lines of like when you're talking about Ralph and how Ralph has depression, he's going to die, miserable and broke. And they go, what about you? He goes, well, I'll have money. Like, at least he can be funny. But I mean, he never lost the blue collar, I guess, sensibility. He was never going to be like Mr. Shishi, uptown snob bullshit, because he's at home at his heart he's a Jersey boy. So that was I think that's what endeared him more to anybody than anything. That even though he was a fan and all that shit, and he wasn't as willing to jump into a fight as, let's say, Jackie, who really was like before Artie, he was the Artie that. When Robin said something stupid, he went after her. Or when Howard said something erroneous, he wasn't afraid to, except he wasn't as on mic as Artie was. So, yeah.
What do you think, Bob, is the reaction they're hoping for from Artie? Like, what do you think they want to elicit from this?
Pretty much any response. Preferably negative, preferably aggressive, so that they can go on the defense. So that they can become the victims. They're wanting to become the victims right now, but everything they're saying is just incriminating them more. And they're all clamoring to get this thing going, and they're clamoring to get him riled up, and he's completely calm. Yeah. And anyone who remains calm in a situation like this is always winning.
You know what this is like to me, Bob? This is like, we could use an NHL analogy. This is like the entire side of like one team stacking their bodies against their own net before the other team even has the puck. And then like expecting there's going to be a shot and afraid like, oh God, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? And having like incredible stress because it's not happening. Like Artie's not flying off the handle. He's calm, he's collected, he's controlled. It actually is kind of a masterclass in, as you said, gray rocking, if you really listen to it.
It is. Yep. It is.
Let's keep going.
You're out of line calling me a jerk.
I can't bring that up that you called him a jerk.
I don't remember doing it, but whatever. So, I was talking.
I don't actually have it on tape.
Heat of the wrap-up show.
Let's see.
Oh, wait a minute. So he said he doesn't have it on tape, but he said previously he remembers it. He remembers it. How can you remember something that never happened? Just keep that in mind. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. And because the other thing is, if he plays the actual audio, it will make Robin and him look like complete idiots. It's no different than every other turnaround, every other rescinding we've ever done. Like, why don't you just play the fucking audio? Like, I never called Russell Crowe fat. Like a week before, he's I like him, but he's big and fat.
That's what gaslighting is. It's different memories.
Yeah.
The girl likes disgusting fat guys, so Artie's going to get a date. Artie's doing fine. This is ridiculous. Continue to do it because obviously the goal on the show is to make all of us uncomfortable. No. I'm horribly uncomfortable with it. I hate it with a red-hot passion. I will always be belligerent the way I was today. But keep doing it. I hate it.
Not only that.
It was the comments when they asked him about... What was it? Whether how she got on the show or something, and he was talking about how Levy met the girl and was setting him up,
which is what Sam and I will cover. Bob, if you want to sit in during that rant, you're more than welcome to.
Bowie is zero help. I cannot stand him throughout this whole clip. He's just like a tinderbox. Like he just like stoking the fire. He reminds me of like when you an old train and you're shoveling coal into the engine. It's a fucking asshole coal shoveler. Fuck you.
Artie's setting up boundaries here.
Yep.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
Like you guys can do what you want to do. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I it's my right to not like it. So.
Oh, alrighty.
Jerks that you are fell for it.
Well, whatever. I saw him a jerk. I'll tell you what.
I think I said suckers, not jerks.
No, you said jerks.
Well, that's
so Robin doubles down on her ignorance. RobinsWrong.com. Please open that site up again. Yes, Sam.
But then but I don't know if anyone else in the news is NPD, but most people don't apologize when they're wrong nowadays. I think this is like they started a trend where we can just lie our faces off and then just not apologize for it. And we think that you're going to take us seriously after that. Guess how many people took the show seriously and like it?
Yeah.
Now.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, crickets?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
Well,
people call you a jerk.
We'll have to move on.
It's not cool. It really isn't, man. It really is not cool.
You know how Bubba felt. Yeah. He throws that word around a lot.
Right. Very disrespectful.
I never called you a jerk. It's not cool. It's not cool. I'm sorry, pal. I mean, that's just not cool.
It's just not nice.
No.
It's like Howard knows one chord down at the guitar shop while he's trying to impress the workers, and he keeps playing that one chord over and over again like it's Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's playing the beginning of Stairway to Heaven, not a fucking string more. And how many people at this age, I think about my father, I always relate back to this, and I go, would my father ever say, it's not cool, it's not cool? Sam, you didn't do your homework. Not cool. Not cool, man. What are you doing? Who are you talking to right now? You fucking poser.
There are certain expressions that have to get retired with certain generations. Like, I swear to God, when I'm around a crowd of, I was just out last night, actually. We're able to do it where I live, guys. So, bear with me. I'm not the mask. I'm not an anti-masker or anything. So
super spreader.
Yeah, exactly. Super spreader. Who fucking, Beth is a super spreader, but not for Howard. Anyway, the spread like fucking Philly cheese, Philly cream cheese. So anyway, I think that it was. I was just talking to people, and when I use the word broad, which I still use every now and then with the certain company, they'd laugh it off. Like, they just love the expression because it's so antiquated, but they know it's for a joke. If they thought for a minute that I was genuinely misogynistic, or if I used the word fruit and they thought I was homophobic, they'd have nothing to do with me ever.
Oh, is just eliminated in 2020. People are such ridiculous people.
Right. Like, why aren't you able to use it as an adjective and say, these are some faggy shoes? I mean, why is that a problem? I'm calling the shoes fags.
I have a friend and
are you wearing penny loafers?
I have a friend and her sister's gay, and we were talking about the word fag, and she just goes, you know what, sometimes that's just the only word that works in a certain situation. I'm like, all of us do exactly. We're like, yeah, sometimes it just is what works,
Right.
I think that one of my all-time favorite Artie lines was in that too, where he goes, well, I guess we'll just have to move on. When they're all trying to fight him, when they're all trying to goad him into a fight, well, I guess we'll just have to.
It's the biggest.
Yeah, it's
like,
so
you picture the Saturday Night Live. It's negative or Rachel Dratch, and it's she goes,
not Debbie Downer.
Debbie Downer. That's how we're just gonna have to move on.
It's so coldly dismissive.
Yep.
Nice.
To someone who loves you.
Yeah, I mean, really, I was happy for you. This chick was hot. And if you're not into her, it's fine. So you just say, hey, nice girl. Maybe I'll call her. Give me your number.
Maybe you could say Levy.
That's exact. And Artie's right. He did. If you guys will have heard this already. But when you hear the clip, he goes, look, I'm not interested in this bit. And they decided to make it last an hour. At one point, Richie Wilson calls in and he says, I wouldn't mind a date with her. And he's still with Rachel at the time. And he goes, Rachel or whatever. He goes, she just got hit by a bus. and then Ganji comes in and she shits on Ganji. It might be the funniest part of that whole segment because she says, I like them big, but I don't like them unattractive. Poor Ganji takes shit from this Jersey 5. Go ahead, Sam.
You know what this reminds me of is the way that Ronnie just killed the bit with the voting, where they had him on the show saying, who are you going to vote for? He wasn't going to say. He gray rocked them now for 2 fucking weeks. This is the longest gray rock hold I've ever seen anyone do on the Howard Stern show. And he did it. He got a little bit gamed at some points where I could see he was losing it. But for the most part, he held his own in a gray rock that I have never seen on the show before, especially with all that pressure and nonsense and flying monkey shit that was going around. He held his own. And this reminds me of that, where it's like, you're not going to get the fucking bit out of me, and you're not going to get anything from me. So by the time this thing airs, you guys will have already heard what Sam's talking about. So Raven and I will have covered it. But yeah, you're right. It was like Ronnie had a fucking figure 4 on the show and wasn't letting go, like, for no matter how long they wanted to, make sure that he wasn't going to break. He just wasn't. Because he also, like Artie, he's been there long enough to know their bullshit. And if he's on his way out, he has no reason to submit to it anymore. Nope.
Yeah. Let's continue.
The jerk.
I said that.
Oh, he said worse about poor Levy. That's
how we ended the segment.
Yeah, listen to this one.
I think Bob Levy is basically Jeffrey Dahmer if he read a joke book. I know that sounds a little harsh, but I love the guy. And, he gets out on the internet and stalks these women and throws out this web of deceit and sleaziness and hair dye and bad coke, beer breath, cheap fucking Target shirts and coupons for Sizzler's 2-for-1 steak on a Wednesday. His $40,000 outside of Philly with somehow at the built-in pool. I have no idea what the fuck that looks like. Came with the
house. Sorry, guys, you can't see it, but we're all fucking losing it. It is, and he never wrote a thing down. Like that was all improv.
He's so witty.
God, and like he just destroyed his house, his family life. He's gonna destroy his comedy. He's gonna destroy everything about Levy. It's like that wrecking ball when it hits the side of the building.
He said it somehow has an in-ground pool. I don't know how. Oh my god!
His poor child who's being raised by a father who's just not there, and a mother who hates being with the father. The father's in the basement that's damp, clearly doesn't have the proper heat or air conditioning. Somehow he gets over to this disgusting, jizz-drenched, stinky, whiskey-sobbing computer board and types out, "Who's out there?"
Oh my god.
One sec, guys. 1 sec.
Who's out there in fucking virgin creepland that I can try to fuck with my web of grossness? And eventually he gets some takers, some poor women who have a background that's clearly troubling. This girl has father issues, so he's clearly a mad Irish drunk.
We don't know that.
She has dyed black hair.
Wow.
The full red is way better. But anyway, we'll keep going.
This is what girl?
He pulled out a flamethrower on those people.
Why'd you say that? She doesn't have that.
I
love that.
I love Gary throwing in the disclaimer.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't know the people.
Yeah, the dad could call.
Yeah.
Right. Well.
The dad could call your ass.
Sam?
Yeah, because they care so much about dads and what they're doing. Hello, intern beauty pageant.
Hello, it's just wrong.
Gary was like yelling at people and like, oh, you said you were going to get naked. What are you doing? Why aren't you getting naked?
Oh my God, if we played those today. Those are all K-Rock, by the way. That's not serious, guys.
But now they're worried about libel for calling someone a Mad Irish drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullshit.
Yeah. It's all to make Artie look like the aggressor and everybody else is the victim. You know?
Oh, we're all falling for it.
Let's do it.
It's ridiculous.
What's going on over there?
What's going on with you? What's all the anger about? The girl came in here. Now you're attacking her family. You're making shit up.
Are you incredibly uncomfortable? There are things we can't bring up with you. Would you give us a list?
We don't know.
Oh, you condescending cunt.
No, we don't want to make you uncomfortable.
It's good then. Shut up.
They can't deal with someone who actually calls them out on their shit. That's the ultimate. I mean, that's the takeaway, really. And they're laughing. Like, she's laughing, but she's seething inside. You can absolutely tell. Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh, everything makes you
Speech makes him uncomfortable.
Yes, I guess talking.
Wow.
And also, Sam, do you know she's yelling now the same way she did in that thing we just covered? When she's completely uncomfortable, the volume just gets into like upper decibels.
Yeah. So I remember when I first heard this, and it hasn't changed since. When she said talking, I remember the first time I heard this, I literally winced in my car. Like, had a visceral what are you doing? Why are you saying it like that? It just was so. It was so absurdly unnecessary, and the volume, like, we noticed.
It was also unnatural.
Cornered.
Yep.
And her fake face is lying her face off and saying, "Oh, you said he was a jerk. She caused all this." I think this is just incredible how her volume gets so loud.
Yeah, and also the video is a good way to see this. I don't know if the video is as uncut as it should be. I can't remember because it's been a long time since I've seen it, but a lot of the Howard TV shows, the way they were edited, they missed some of the actual full audio to be an hour long or to be 50 minutes long or however long they needed to be. And this clip, as it goes, is an hour. So sometimes you're going to miss nuances. The Howard TV guys did as good a job as they could, but some things you just can't edit. You can't leave them out because they add so much color to the full discussion.
Like, if a Simona Dinnerstein was listening to this, she would think of it like a sheet music. It would be like crescendo F, the dynamics.
Wow. All right, let's keep going.
Well, whatever, man. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, don't even talk to him.
I'm doing him a favor.
Don't even look back there.
No. I mean, really.
I love hearing tough guy Howard put on his, I'm not going to do that for him anymore. Wow. Guys, call in Luca Brasi. He's the godfather.
He used to do the fake tough guy.
Yeah.
He did the fake hetero guy, fake tough guy a lot more when Artie was in studio.
Totally.
That's since went by the wayside. Hello, Cocktober.
Just a wee bit.
Does that mean I don't have to come in anymore?
What it means
we want you here.
What it means
you
is
gotta come in.
You never have to come in here. You know that.
Hello, Beer League. I need you to be here. I need you. You're essential to the show. Now, you don't need to be here. Which is it, you fucking cunt?
Well, he's got to threaten abandonment at this point. That's his last card.
Yep. Guess so.
We don't need you. You don't have to be here. Like, yeah, he does. Like, everybody knows Artie's a fucking star of that show, including Artie. Whether he wants to say it, like, he's humble enough to be like, it's your show, but everybody knows he's a star at this point.
Sam?
You know what's so sad is the fact that he would have been the star if Nick and Artie's show would have worked out on DirecTV, because that is some of the funniest, most insightful shit ever. Mm-hmm. And truly, if it wasn't for his demons, say, God willing, it would have worked out and he would have faced them way before, that show would have been the Joe Rogan times 10 on fucking math. Because that's how good. They were both so funny and insightful. Mm-hmm. It was great. Yeah. It was absolutely great.
When they had guests in for interviews, they also did their homework big time. And Nick was more he was more of the straight man pretty much, but it didn't mean he couldn't be funny as well. But when they had like the nice coaches in, they were hysterical. I have all those clips.
It's so great.
They were brilliant. Yeah. So let's keep going.
You hate this job that much, you never have to come in here. You know that.
I mean, yesterday it was just terrible.
Well,
we're going to get the fat guy laid.
Oh, my
She's into heavy-set guys. You're a fat guy. What are you going to do about it? Tony Soprano.
I have to say, this comes on the heels of a bad day that Artie had. I mean,
what bad day?
The bad day that his mom called him, and he was drinking because of the comments that she made.
His mom,
and I think they carried over to the next day.
There was nothing awful about what his mother did.
That's right.
No, but
he needed an excuse to drink.
I'm not.
So this was, I think, when he talked about, possibly it was when he found out that Dana was dating again, and then he said, I looked like I came out of a John Steinbeck novel with a bottle of whiskey in my hand. And it was funny. He got fucked up on Johnny Walker Blue, which is not a cheap hangover.
Saying that it was what was bad, but I'm saying Artie had a reaction to that, which kind of set him off.
Yeah, but his mom said nothing there.
Well, he's sensitive.
Those are my issues.
That's right.
Right, he's sensitive about
it. Yes, that's ridiculous. That his mother called him. That we.
No, I'm not saying that she did a bad thing.
No, I'm saying if you got to start drinking in the middle of the afternoon because your mom said you used to look like George Clooney when you were on Mad TV. I mean, he's got issues.
I'm not blaming that on my mother.
No, definitely not.
No, he's got a reaction to his mother that he hasn't looked into yet.
But
oh, for fuck's sake! Yeah, Sam.
Meanwhile, he's still blaming his entire life on growing up in a black neighborhood for a year and a half, and Ben working. I mean, it's insane. We have to listen to him now, hours on end, years on end, decades on end, bitch about his childhood, and just as of recently, guys, this week, talking about Roosevelt in the black neighborhood, and he actually said he made up that he had a black voice, and he goes, they said, "What year are you matriculated at?" And he said, "I be matriculated." Really, Howard? You're almost 70 and you still haven't gotten over this, but yet you have the right to make fun of Artie for having a bad day.
Oh my Lord.
Well, I think it's coming out now. I need him to get help. I want him to start looking into this stuff. This is why I think this is kind of the first glimpse into that,
It's just a shitty way to do it.
Oh God, yeah.
That's the only way they operate. They don't operate in straightforward, secure communication. This is how they operate.
Right. He's not going to pull him into his office and say, "Look, I know a guy who knows a guy that deals with substance abuse and this and that, and he's a psychiatrist. Why don't you look it up?" He's not a psychiatrist. He's like a counselor. Just check it out. No, never. No way. Artie will claim that he helped him, but I don't believe he ever went that far, and certainly not that direct. Go ahead, Sam.
So besides bro, like when he says, "You're my bro," you're my bro, you know how he does this. So what indication before he actually makes that claim and how pretend hurt Howard is, how does this sound like somebody's bro? Like right now, what we're hearing and what we just have heard for the last few minutes. Yeah. Would that be anybody's bro or sis or friend? Is that how you act towards somebody? And then you have the nerve to claim, just out of nowhere, thin air, "I'm your bro." How could you say I'm not your bro? I don't know. Let's just hear the last 10 minutes of how you've just treated me.
Yeah.
And that's the point that he kind of starts to get to later on, where he's like, "I'll tell you why you're not my bro."
Yeah. And then, once we start getting into it and he goes into the whole, like, look, we work together. You're not actually friends. And do you guys remember it was a few years earlier when he talked about, I can get anybody angry with one sentence? And then he said, I dare anybody to do it to me. If they really did what they knew, he would be in pieces, Howard. So they were holding back then, or they weren't that smart. But when he went after Artie, he said, like, Dana's only with you with your money. You know, if you weren't on the show, she wouldn't be with you, and all this shit, this nasty, awful shit.
Robin can't handle criticism.
All these things. But then Artie, years later, does it to him, and this is the reaction. And this is based on a non-comment, first of all. All this is based on a fallacy. And then when he starts to tell him stuff, and the Pelican thing, wow.
If they really wanted to get him, they should have just been like, Ralph's on the line. Where did you sleep last night, Fudgebacker? I'm just kidding.
That's staying in there.
All do. You know, mothers push buttons. Oh, yeah. That's their job.
Well, you have to realize that. You don't bring it on us. What do we do?
We're just saying, it was the first domino in a line of dominoes for poor Artie.
And this is Mr. Roastmaster. Mr. Roastmaster is super sensitive.
I'm not the Roastmaster.
Oh, please.
Sam?
Sid laughed. He's not even a breed. This is
very similar to the whole Allison Jingle Ball conversation where Robin's got to back him up. You're right, Bob. This is like she knows. It's amazing how she knows to go in step, completely lock in step with Howard, and not even to keep her mouth shut. She could be completely Geneva, but she doesn't. She's not going to.
Geneva. She's right now Berlin. Are you insane?
and again,
not stomping.
She's wrong. He isn't the Roastmaster. Bob Levy was the roast. Like, again, you're fucking wrong about this, but...
Right.
Go ahead.
She meant to say, I know she meant to say, like, you're the guy who's great at roast, but it's like, are we doing a roast?
I thought Sal was the Roastmaster.
Yeah, Sal's the Roastmaster.
Please.
Bob Levy's the Roastmaster.
I meant he's one of the best guys at roasting people, and spares nothing. I mean, he goes for it.
But what is that? I don't understand what you're talking about.
That's a roast.
This is what we do. We make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Sam.
Robin is echoing, or Artie is echoing the point that all of us are thinking. Well, what exactly does that have to do with anything that I'm saying? That I don't like, you're highlighting my addiction and you're embarrassing me. Like, what does that have to do with the fact of what you're just saying right now, Robin? And she's like, ugh.
Well, that's what we do. We make people uncomfortable. She's trying to make a joke of it, but she's actually dead on now. She's unearthed a truth. Stupidly enough, in her own dumb way, she's really betraying a truism here. Sorry, Sam?
But Bob, when they unearth these truths, like Artie is doing right now, I mean, what do you think for them when they start doing this? What is an NPD person's reaction to truth being posed to their fucking face?
Panic. They have to start attacking. They have to start lying. They have to start making stuff up. They have to, again, you're the aggressor. You're the aggressor. This is what she's saying there once again. You're the aggressor. You're the one that rips people up. It's like, no, it's all in context. This isn't, there's times where you rip people up. There's times that you don't. I mean, this is an entire bit based around making fun of Artie's weight. Like, it's not a roast. If you go into a roast, you know what's going on. It's going to be brutal, but that's what they have to do. What they have to do is they have to attack. They have to become the victims, and they have to lie. Basically, is what they do. Yeah,
throwing backwards punches and then covering up their heads, and every so often. Yeah. Let's see.
You're the roast master. You're the one that fucks. You're the guy that fucks on everybody. You're the guy that rips. What?
Meanwhile,
so that's panic speak.
Yeah,
that's panic speak.
That's you're the aggressor. We're the victims. We're the helpless ones. We're the blah blah blah. It's lies. They have to become the victim. All the.
Okay.
So they're scrambling now. That is as a direct result from him gray rocking them.
Yeah, and Howard's not even talking and hasn't for a while because they don't have anywhere to go with this. They can't get him to bite on anything.
This is why Sam? I love having Bob on, because we can see what's kind of happening, but then him putting it into these terms of a fight and how I like the chess play of this, of like, how are they moving and what are their moves behind it? And you have such a in-depth knowledge of this that it's incredible. So it makes me more excited because you see things that I don't even see. And even as much as we know now.
Let's continue, boys and girls.
Honestly, I'm going to go on record as saying this, and you can believe it or not, Artie. I did not do that to make you uncomfortable.
Well,
and you can think that all you want.
Okay, fine.
So if you don't like it, fuck it. I ain't going to go out of my way. In fact, quite frankly, who needs to do that for you?
Good.
Do whatever you want to do.
It's not going to affect my life
I did it. I don't want my motives being called a jerk because I was doing it because, you know what? I'd want someone to do it for me.
Sam.
Oh, my God. Bob, this is the panic speak. So this is basically he's snow blowing in a driveway and it's just all the snow is coming out the fuck anything. He's just anything he can say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even though it makes no sense.
He goes, man, I don't need to do this for you. I'm the good guy. I'm the victim. I try. If in a real thing, if like you really upset someone, you'd be like, dude, I didn't know this was going to upset you. Like, I genuinely didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Not, right. Dude, I didn't know this was going to upset you. I don't need to do this for you. I was just being like, you're attacking me. I don't like, no, that's not anyone who's genuinely upset. Like, if I really upset a friend that way, I would never be like, I don't need to do this for you. Or whatever. I'd be like, dude, I didn't know. I really didn't know I was going to upset you. And I'd leave it at that.
See, before this, when I asked you, like, how will people like this react to truth that Artie was saying, I didn't realize this type of retaliation and how he's just throwing things out here now, that it was a panic response. So I always just thought that this is Howard just being defensive and actually, you know, this is what he thinks. And then Artie can rebut it. But this, now I can see he's panicked. And that's incredibly different. My perception is completely changed to how I'm thinking of this. So thanks.
If you're, analytically, Bob adds a whole extra dimension to what we know is bullshit. Like, we know that Howard's full of shit when we hear this, and I certainly did at the time. I didn't know the psychological ramifications, although I guess I could have guessed that. I didn't know then what I know now, and a lot of it is thanks to Bob, so full kudos. It's the analogy you made, Sam, was almost perfect. It's like snow blowing a driveway and not being content and snow blowing the lawn as well. And like bringing up grass and twigs and things, chopping up rocks, and you're fucking ruining the blades because like you're running out of ammo. Like, throw the belt at the guy.
And you're seeing it all just spray like everywhere.
Right. And so it's almost like wild swings. You know what I mean? Like, hoping something connects, hoping something lands.
They're getting to that point. Because we're getting deep into it now, and he's bid on nothing so far.
Yeah, and Artie's still like, well, we got to move on.
Well, I guess we'll have to move on. Such a great line.
Because if you listen, as you will have heard from the bit guys, Artie completely sabotages the appearance, and it's so calculated, but so funny the way he does it, because at one point he just blurts out, listen, I'll fuck you. He goes, you tell me when and where. Like, let's just get out of it.
It's almost like with all these scenarios, like when you're talking about revealing the truth, it's almost like the emperor's clothes. And that's how it is with the narcissist. And Artie's not even taking it to a level he could. It's just like saying, like, they're all going, hey, the walls are red, the walls are red. And Artie's just going, the walls are blue. And it's that's enough. Like, dude, you're rocking this whole illusion that we have set up. Like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. You're not supposed to be human. Like, we're supposed to just be able to do this to you, and you're supposed to smile about it. No, I don't like it. What do we do here? This guy's got feelings. This guy's a human being. Like, let's make him feel like a piece of shit for having normal emotions. Let's just lay it on.
Perfect. I love when Bob goes down that route. Go ahead, Sam, please.
On a deeper level, though, like, isn't that what we're doing in this podcast? Essentially, like, you know, we thought when we started this that we're going to be just bringing up the hypocrisy and we're going to go over things in an in-depth level, not realizing when we met you, we're going to stumble upon this whole sort of, you know, tomb under the sand of shit. And we're like, okay, well, here's the chapel, here's the burial tomb, here's the soul where a false door goes through like an Egyptian pyramid. I mean, seriously, it's crazy to me. Like, we did not realize we uncovered this stuff. And when we're doing it and I'm listening to this, I'm like, it's almost like we get to highlight exactly where we get to see. Yeah, we get to see this now in real time.
Instead of King Tut, we unearth King Baby.
King Fruit. King Fruit.
Okay.
I'm real shy with women, and if a woman writes in, it's a funny thing.
If a troll had come in here, it'd be one thing, Artie.
Yeah, but even if a troll came in, so you go, okay, hey, nice girl, whatever.
That might have been a setup.
Yeah,
that would have been funny.
This is just the girl who wrote us the letter.
She wrote me a letter, and I went, you know what? If some girl wrote a letter to the show, this is my weird thinking. You're giving me the smile like I don't believe a fucking word you're saying, but I swear to God, this is the truth. If a girl wrote me a letter, I used to figure out a way to get her up here and let me look her over.
Yeah.
Okay, so already, Howard just basically gave us the subtitle, and like if so, there's the video. Like I said, we could get it. I have it somewhere, but I wanted to make sure we had the audio because I didn't go through and make sure that they were the same, and I wanted to just the audio is what's really important. But if you haven't seen the video, Artie's mostly covered up by monitors and stuff, but you can just imagine him going, whatever, dude, whatever, like fucking keep going, keep blowing it, dude, keep fucking shoveling. It ain't gonna be enough. Sam?
Keep snow blowing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Even when I was married, just to see what I could get.
Absolutely.
And that's my feeling. And like my friends, you know, like I met Angie through a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Don Buchwald, who decided we need to cover up your little putzolifty ways with Ralph, and she was a Buchwald client, and I believe still is, and you know that's how it worked.
Robin Givens just recently on an episode of Watch What Happens Live said Howard Stern was the best lover. Where did that come from?
I could play you the clip of the guy calling in and said, "Did you ever get Robin Givens?" And he goes,
"Yeah,
no." He goes, "I don't know." What? And the guy said, "What?" He goes, "No, I'm any fumpers. I'll play it for you if you want another time." But it's completely like he admitted basically he never had sex with her.
Could you picture fucking someone like Mike Tyson or any other professional athlete and then saying Howard Stern's a great lover? I'm sorry. God. Anyone with a vagina knows that's false.
Yeah, it'd be funnier if Artie was like, hey, instead of a pelican, he was like, hey, what if we have chicks in here that are into guys that should basically settle for anything with teeth and hair? You know? What do you think about
I would have loved if Artie did a Mike Tyson impression and start. No, like when he said Brad Pitt, he ran into Brad Pitt as he caught him leaving Robin Givens' house, and he started. He goes, "No, sir, don't destroy me with your boxing prowess, and you're like, please don't assault me." You know,
I like Bob's idea. Yeah. How about we have people in that just enjoy rapid eye motion and sunglasses that peripherally show it?
How about we're into chicks that are into guys who are too ashamed to show their face and keep an entire console in front of them at all times?
Let's have a show with people who like scarves and fucking monster boots.
Exactly. I'm hiding behind a Pac-Man machine.
And that happens in real life occasionally.
Yeah, how many times do you get hooked up
with anybody decent? So,
right.
I mean, I don't know if these girls are going to be decent, but the girl says she looks like Lindsay fucking Lohan. I go, hey, maybe Artie wants to meet her, and what the hell? I mean, it might be fun on the air. Slam dunk. But if the guy's going to think I'm a jerk for doing it, fuck it. I'm not doing it. Forget it. It's over.
Well, so we won't have that kind of fun anymore.
No, and believe me, On a scale of 1 to 10, that ain't that much fun for me. Watch Artie gets hooked.
Okay, like so what is it? It might be fun. It ain't that much fun. Fuck you, Sam.
He said 0. Artie has said 0. That's all you need to know. Artie is silent, guys.
And Howard keeps repeating himself. He keeps wanting him to bite on this, to have a reaction. Like, dude, okay, don't bring anyone else in again. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to tell you? I don't fucking need these people coming in. Like, I've been in movies, dude. I don't need this shit. Let's go. Let's move on.
Yeah, he fucked a chick in Cologne, Germany.
They're upset
filming boat
that
trip.
they're upset that he has boundaries and that he just doesn't like this. That's why they're upset. Like, that is such a hallmark of an abusive dynamic. Mm-hmm. When someone just has an opinion and has an autonomous feeling and just has, like, that's what they're upset about. Like, and what all this boils down to is they're upset that Artie has an opinion on being treated like a piece of shit. That's how fucked up this got. That's how fucking second nature abuse is with this dynamic. It's like, dude, guys, all I'm saying was I was uncomfortable with you calling me a fat piece of shit and bringing in some girl here. Like, that's not a crazy boundary to have.
It's not too abnormal.
No, I wouldn't like
Bob,
it either. I mean,
well, two things. First thing is Artie, considering his comedic talent, I wish he met someone like Sandler who puts his friends in movies and pays them millions of dollars accordingly. Like, you know, Norm Macdonald and Steve Buscemi and Spade and whatever. I mean, that would have been better for Artie. I wish he would have gotten with that crew. Unfortunately, he got in with the MPD crew of Robin and Howard.
Well,
so that's unfortunate.
He did get in with Spade, at least, which is cool. And Spade was very good about it, actually.
And the Canadian guy, Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald,
he was in with his little crew, too.
Right, but Sandler's the one who makes all those movies and puts them all in it.
Grown-ups and stuff, Right. So instead of Kevin James, like, put Artie in that big guy role.
Yeah. And so the other thing is when you're saying he just had a feeling and he couldn't even express something just so straightforward as, I don't like this bit because it highlights I'm fat.
Mm-hmm.
He's setting up a very light boundary. That's just a boundary. I don't like this.
Right.
Yeah. This is a very small boundary.
How dare you? How dare you tell me what I can't? That's Howard's take.
You know, one thing, Howard wants to fuck you and he wants you to smile while he's doing it. But one thing that is always what you were talking about with Sandler putting people in movies, even with how bad Howard's personality disorder is, I cannot believe he never went to Artie and said, look, what's the figure that you need to stop the touring, to stop running around, to stop, like, for me, just talking about if it was me and my show, and I've never reached this kind of level. I mean, like, I'm humble enough. I'm an armchair analyst here, but for me, knowing how much he brought, like, how do you not go to a guy like that and say, okay, you're making $2-3 million a year off of stand-up.
Yeah.
If we get you that, will you stop? Because everybody knows that's when Artie would fuck up, is when he's running around and, like, how do you not do that? How do you not go to a guy and just say, dude, what's the figure that's going to take for you to not go on these trips, to stay at home on the weekends, to do what you need to do?
And to have that time off to be able to recuperate from the week
if he needed it. Take care of your body.
Yeah. Well, Sam, please, and then I got something to say.
But even on a smaller level, like, just what we do, like, look at how much we love the people who are fans and who have something to offer that we want to give a voice to, that we want to highlight and we appreciate. I mean, it's just a level of respect that I cannot believe that somebody with that much talent, let alone even on a scale that's as obscure as ours, you can't. Do you know what I'm saying? It just shows a human quality that is so lacking.
Well, I hate to bring it back up again. There's always going to be a fucking Johnny Carson mention on this show, but he didn't have to. I love it. Well, he didn't have. He knew if the guest looked good, he looked good. The show looked good. So if he could help the guest shine, it helped the guest, it helped the audience, it helped him, it helped his show, it helped NBC. So he understood the dynamic. Howard never, ever understood because, as Bob will tell you, it's the NPD. It's all him. So it's if Artie's making 60 on a gig, like going playing at whatever the Borgata back in the day, or 70 or 80,000 a gig, Howard's not going, well, that's good for him. He's thinking, yeah, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be doing that. And while that is true, he can't ever bask in that. He has to make it about him and make it be resentful about it as well. Like he will never verbalize it, but he'll say, you know what? That's why I don't pay you that much.
That reminds me of something I know so well, Fillmore. How about you?
Oh, just a little bit. So it's the reason why, guys, like, for example, we did a show with Carrie, our buddy who does radio karate, and it was just a little mini episode, and I pushed that out as fast as I could because we wanted it out for Halloween. Sam did not get bothered. She wouldn't get bothered. And Raven does the breakdowns, and she knows it's about what's good for the show, and she doesn't have the ego involved necessarily to go like, no, I have to be involved in this. I have to be fucking recording. Or if I was out, Sam could do the recording and do whatever she needed to do to get the show out. So it has to be about something greater than yourself. Otherwise, you're actually shortchanging your own product.
That's exactly 100%.
I think Howard didn't want. I think Artie was literally at a point, and the data suggested it, that he was bigger than Howard. Mm-hmm. And I think a part of the reason why Howard never propositioned him with that was he didn't want Artie to become, like, Artie could have taken over. Like, at this point, when they had percentages, and I think it comes up in this thing, how Artie was the most liked guy. Like, there's a certain point where if they're paying a guy enough money, they're going to look and go, well, maybe he should just have his own show. Like, maybe this. And I think Howard didn't want that. And that's a part of the narcissistic personality where you kind of don't want people to get their wings, and you kind of cut them off. So I think Howard walked that thing. But I think even with Artie, I don't really think that was Artie's ambition. And I think he made it pretty clear. So I don't really get why he never came to him. It's like, again, we'll go back to hockey analogies because Fillmore's Canadian and I'm a huge hockey fan. But it's like the Blackhawks, like if Patrick Kane had a fucking side job, bartending on the weekends, like at a certain point you just go, dude, what's it going to take for you to just be a full-time member of the Blackhawks? Like, we need you because you're going out and getting drunk and you're fucking up with this and that. Like, but it was like, I don't think Howard ever wanted him to get that esteem. And I think that's why he never did it. And that's a very common pattern in people with NPD.
Keep them at a certain level. Keep them hungry. Sam?
Yeah.
But it would be like, say, for example, Bob becomes this Dr. Oz figure, or, Raven becomes the next Oprah or Judge. Like, what? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, say these people become these massive figures,
their own entities separate from where they were famous for.
But they got their start from something like this. Oprah. I would be so incredibly happy and humbled and love that. Like, that would bring joy to my heart. Like, truly joy to my heart.
But Howard couldn't.
But if you had NPD, you would have never have given me the money for this microphone. But you still would have recognized whatever value I'm bringing to this. And to be like, let's not let him think too much because we need him for our thing.
Well, that's helpful.
We gotta keep him. Yeah, no, because that's just when you're talking about narcissistic personality disorder, psychopathy to a smaller degree, those relationships go a lot quicker. It's all about them on such a level you really can't understand unless you have it. Like, everything is about them. So when you guys are talking about the charity that Robin has and Howard's upset, I know in his mind, he's thinking this is going to upset all these people that I have this very delicate balance with. They're not getting paid what they should. We have this whole thing worked out here. Like, they will turn a charity into themselves That's how fucking selfish they are. Like, they are at that extreme of a level.
For you to take the time to tell some guy that a girl is interested in somebody other than you, that's, you know,
quite frankly,
that's major for you.
I'd rather march chicks in here interested in me.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That Artie should realize that.
I do it all the time. I fucking beg the interns to come in here and tell me they love me.
I'm sorry.
Is this what
why isn't Alyssa Milano, that fucking joke, pounding down your door now with #MeToo, Howard? Oh, that's right.
That wasn't even a joke, guys. That was one. I've got that clip somewhere as well. The interns voted on who was funniest and who was best looking and whatever, and most charming and whatever. And Howard lost like almost everything. And then he had to get one. They said, "Well, there's one intern who would totally fuck you," and they brought her in, and she talked about it. And it's like, this is like 2007, guys. This is probably all in the same year. So Howard's definitely feeling like I'm the least important cog on my own fucking show. And that don't think that had nothing to do with how this all went about. So, and Artie knows this. He's getting more stand-up. He's feeling his oats. He's like, man, I'm getting paid maybe $600,000 a year. You're getting paid fucking $80 million and you do nothing. And you're crutching on me so fucking often that I'm getting fed up with this. Fuck you. So I can afford to do. If I'm indispensable, which he really was, it turned out, because they never recovered from not having Artie anymore. The show went down, and most people, you listen to her jump the shark. Most people left when Artie did. They said, "You guys, you made the mistake of not at least adding a third mic." And it might not have got as good, but it would certainly be better than what ended up happening. So let's keep going.
If Artie's the subconscious of the fans, what happens when he goes, everybody goes. Absolutely. And you're right. I listened to your show after he left. Everybody left pretty much. I mean, there was some inertia.
Bob, do you think, okay, when you said, because when Jackie left the show and they had tryouts, right? Do you, and then they got Artie, do you think because of his false face falling so far after Artie left, that he didn't have another comic on because he couldn't have that subconscious voice and fan comic on the show revealing his false face, revealing the fact he's a fraud?
People couldn't relate to it. I mean, like, the whole thing was Artie made it more relatable because he was us. It turned into a thing where it wasn't relatable. Like Artie or Howard's talking about, I was at a Hamptons party and Bon Jovi didn't fucking cater it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what the fuck? I haven't been to a catered party in like 10 years. Like, so like that whole dynamic, I think the show became a lot less relatable. Yeah, it just became a lot less funny. There was a lot of inertia that I think like Sal and Richard carried. But go ahead.
But do you think because of his NPD, the fact that he didn't have another comic on and didn't try comics out the way they did when Jackie left the show, and then they got Artie, do you think the fact they didn't do the same thing is because he didn't want that reveal? He didn't want the subconscious and the fan sort of favorite on the show, or a comic that brought that sort of voice that is the audience, that personified voice of the audience?
I don't think he wanted that dynamic. I don't think he wanted this thing where who he brought on became bigger than the show, because it's not sustainable, you know. And the one thing where Howard is right with Artie is he was a live wire, he was unpredictable, and to be quite honest, anybody who runs a business doesn't want any employee like that, whether it's entertainment or not. I mean, you don't know. Like this guy's coming in telling me like he didn't know if he's gonna wake up tomorrow, or he lost 80,000, you know, like saying crazy shit. If I had a friend telling me he lost 20,000-30,000 on a weekend, I'd be like, dude, you gotta, like, you're gonna fucking wake up in a dumpster, man. And I've had friends get in that situation where they've owed people money, and you're like, dude, that's not a place you want to be. And like you don't want that kind of volatility. So I do think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying in that. Howard's like, look, I tried it with Jackie. He got too big for the show, or at least in his mind he did. And he wasn't. Artie really was that talented, and he's like, I don't want this anymore. I need to be the biggest part of the show.
Okay, so that's...
And he can't carry it.
No.
Okay.
Artie became bigger to me than I think the show was. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Same.
But it turns out, as it turns out, he on his own, without the drugs, he's excellent. But on the drugs, he was insufferably bad. I mean, the last year of the 2009 was really unlistenable for most of it when Artie was on, and he was interrupting and all that stuff. I mean, it's been well documented. Most people would agree, I would say.
And plus, he wanted to take it in a different direction. So, you know, where Howard really lost all of his fans is he turned his back on the everyday man, right? He came up with what I personally think happened in 2015 is they pitched this whole new direction of, you know, the soccer mom celebrity. 2013. I fucking tuned out well before then, but no, I don't think Howard had the same. Where this guy's a subconscious of. I think that Howard was like, we worked ourselves into a dynamic where this guy was bigger than what we were, you know, the show.
Yeah,
and he exploited that, and he made money off of it, which is fine, and he still is to this day, off of selling the back catalog. But I think Sam is right in that. He recognized, I don't want this dynamic again, because that dynamic is when he had to let go of some control, and he saw he can't control. So he tried to pull it into, all right, I'm just going to do this with all the people I know I can control.
Yep.
Robin, Fred, me, whoever. It suffered. Staff. They came up with this new direction for the show, which I think they've been selling to Sirius for a while. I don't think it was a success, and I think it's kind of reached, you know, a really extreme point where they're going to let him go. That's my own opinion, but yeah, I think that's what happened. I think that Howard didn't want to have another Artie go on, where personality became bigger than him and more talented and more of a driver, and the show became more dependent on them because he couldn't control them.
Which is ironic because, in actual fact, when the Summit thing happens, and we have that on our channel as well, guys. It's 3 parts, our coverage of it. When he got rid of Back Office Radio and then Geek Time, he was actually getting rid of more fan-loved stuff and ruining his own show. Like he didn't have the savvy to realize that now. Okay, now I'm actually by making it more about me, I'm actually turning people off.
Yeah, he didn't have the foresight to say, I'm becoming more irrelevant and I need to boost these other shows up. He needed to be the business still. Whereas somebody who's more intelligent or like a better performer, and I've seen it many times with musicians where they'll say, I'm falling more into obscurity. I still know how to make this work and I still know how to represent talent. So what I'll do is I'll take new acts and I'll make sure that they have, you know, just being a behind the scenes guy, more or less, like sort of where, like, even in rap, what Jay-Z has done to a large degree, where he's like, I'm getting into my later years. I'm not as relevant as I am. I still have some relevancy, but what he is more of a behind the scenes kind of guy that's able to prop up musicians because he knows the game. Like, Howard didn't recognize that, and he needed to still be the epicenter of everything, but realistically he was falling out of favor with everyone, and he's continued to, and his new attempts at rebranding I think have been a complete failure from where I am. I don't know though, I'm not that tuned in.
Sam?
Your point, Bob, has been echoed by one of the most famous podcasters of all time, Joe Rogan, who recently has just came out and said he watched the leaked footage of him during that 2013 summit, although I'd like to believe he watched our take on it. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't.
Maybe he will. It'll come up in his suggested list on YouTube.
Possibly. He said that he thought it was very sad that the person who he thought Howard has become, you need to get an A-list celebrity and a B-list celebrity. And Joe Rogan literally said, I don't listen or try to aspire to something. I just want to keep myself grounded and be interested in something. I want to cognitively care about something in order to keep this going, because what I know is driving the success of this is my actual intellectual interest in something, and that's what's making the success of the show, not the fact that I have this person on or that person on and they have this name recognition. His interest in something and highlighting them is what makes those people actually do better in their notoriety.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, if you want an analogy on a more simplistic level, guys, think of a guy that wants to deck out his car with spoilers and rims and paint jobs and with custom paint jobs, but doesn't give a fuck about the engine. It doesn't care how fast it is, doesn't care how he's customized it or streamlined or whatever. He's like, nah, fuck this. You know, I just want it to look good. And Howard was always obsessed with star fucking, and that's the nature. I mean, it's surface level at best, but we know he's not a deep person, so this isn't a surprise. What is surprising is that he stopped having, like, he had Mark Harris, I think, one time before Mark Harris passed away during the serious years as like a human interest thing, but he was such an integral part of the early days, and Mark Harris wasn't even that famous in his heyday, but he was interesting on the show.
But this is what I think that Rogan taps into that Howard lost. The fact that we cared more about people like Riley Martin, Eric the Midget, these people that don't have a name, that were important to us because they were interesting. That's the hook, not the fact that they are a name and you're getting them on and kissing their ass. And I think it's very... It's interesting to watch that dynamic of how Rogan has actually improved upon that, how he has taken people that he's interested in, highlights them. And yes, of course, they're probably successful in whatever they do, but it boosts their popularity in a way because he gives his platform a voice, not because he has to, but because he wants to and likes it.
I'm a big believer that at the end of the day, nobody's life is that interesting. You know, even the most interesting person, if you listen to it enough, you're going to go, oh yeah, they just wake up and do this, this, and this, right?
Sure.
So, and I think that, and that's not to denigrate any massive personality. Like you talk about huge personalities, even if you're talking about the president of the United States or something, I bet you if you really sat with him for a week, you'd be like, okay, I get it. So the way that you do that is you mix in variety, and you bolster certain personalities and certain, you know, it's like if you ever listen to an album and there's a drummer virtuoso and he's just going the whole time, after a while you're like, all right, I get it. The guy's a great drummer. There's a great guitarist or great, like you need that variety. And I think what was so hard for Howard, and he didn't want to view it from this is really where MPD comes in the ego, was he didn't want to see that he was fading. And I really think that his brand, and he would probably get another serious contract. Now, Howard's so connected. To me, he's unpredictable. I don't know what he's going to do. He has that much power. Like, we're seeing these articles pop up here and there. Like, that's a connected guy. Whether you want to say he is or I don't know. But I think that Howard's brand would seriously be a lot stronger if he just sort of became almost like a label and was able to bolster other personalities. But the thing is, he made it so much about himself, and at the end of the day, like what I just said, like no one's really that interesting, and Howard in particular isn't that interesting. Like he self-admittedly doesn't leave, he stays in, he like it's just not an interesting life to make everything about you. So when I hear the new shows and like everything's about him, it's not even just like a casual trashing. It's like, dude, this just isn't that interesting. Like, you just don't have that interesting of a life. And I'm hearing the same bits that I've been hearing for 20 years at this point.
It's ironic. He said it a long time ago about a discussion about, I think it was it might have been the Lena Dunham thing. It was, I think it was the Lena Dunham show, Girls, where before he did the turnaround and kissed her ass, her fat fucking smarmy ass. He goes, like, the main character shouldn't be in the mix that often. You have to take them off screen so people don't get sick of them. But he never actually learned to apply it to himself. And now as a result, he's got such a complex. He's become this cult of personality where it is about me. It's always been about me. And he's convinced himself that he is as important as he really is. When you're right, someone like Bowie, for example, who realized his star was fading and he hooked up with Trent Reznor, or he hooked up again with Brian Eno because he needed a name to kind of bolster his sound and also get to a new audience, because his old audience wasn't buying new records anymore. And then by the time he sort of succeeded in a way. But at that point he was an icon as well, but he still had the humility to go, I might need some fresh hands. I might need some fresh ears. Absolutely. New session guitars.
Or maybe, or you know what, maybe the ultimate thing, maybe my time is done.
Yes.
I'm not done, but maybe my time is done.
Yes.
And maybe now I go into a more, manager type role or producer or whatever, which a lot of actors do, a lot of talent do. A lot of, like, if you look at a lot of movies are produced, by old actors and stuff, just because they know the rigors of the industry and they know what'll work and won't work. So,
but NPD people, you can tell because they don't change and they'll dig their heels in the shit that's not working. And then blame their audience and blame everything else for why it's not working. So let's continue.
Popular.
No, it's about the fact that I know that as a man, this is me. I projected this onto you.
Right.
I like to see what the fuck's out there that wants to fuck me. That's it.
Well, it came out on the wrap-up show. She has a boyfriend.
Well, I heard that too. I heard that too. And I got a letter from the guy. I didn't know it. I got a letter from him yesterday, an email. And it turns out it's the same way Artie kind of has a girlfriend now.
Oh, it's not that solid.
Yeah, I mean,
it's way more committed than anything I got going.
What, are they living together?
The guy said, look, I would clearly be upset if she slept with somebody.
Well, you...
Okay, Sam.
This is me projecting it onto you. What does that even mean, Bob?
It means exactly what he just said. This is me projecting it onto you.
Right. That I just
there's nothing else there. Yeah.
That's you're literally insane. You are admitting that you're projecting an entire fallacy onto another human being.
Okay. And he's also saying, he's like, you didn't vet this person. Like, you just let this person in here. You don't know what their situation, like, this was not something that was sincere. Like, I don't know. This is just fucking bullshit. Yep. Just let some street person in here, basically.
Yeah.
I don't think that girl who's sleeping with you would be upset.
Of course she would.
She's upset I'm sleeping with her.
I don't want to spend all morning on this. I'm just saying.
Really?
No, I don't care. I guarantee it.
Well, I'm very upset because I wanted to see the girl.
You'll get over it. When you're in Burgundy, you'll get over it.
Julia Roberts can write me a
letter. You'll get over it.
When you're in Burgundy. I fucking love Artie. God damn it. His voice always cut through whatever din was going on. And it was always like the perfect I don't know, the perfect, like a hit, a palpable hit. Because it was just so not always incisive, but
he always got held to this different standard because of it, because he was just so powerful, and there's so many of those fights when you go back and look at it, it was like all those people were saying fucked up stuff towards him, but because he was so powerful and so talented, he was always the bad guy, and he really wasn't. He was just defending himself.
Do you think it came through more? Artie's voice is because we resonate with it more. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Do you think we look okay? Yeah.
Yep. He's representing us. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I ain't giving it to Artie. Rip up any email.
I don't want Julia Roberts. She's lost her look.
Jessica Alba.
It's
She's not hot enough for Artie.
Jessica Alba calls, I'll do it.
No, you won't, because you won't know about it.
She's not gonna get it.
You know what? You're never gonna know.
I'll take the chance that ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
Oh, Jessica, write us today. Write us today.
Hey, Gary, I don't want Artie getting any emails from any girls.
Good.
Okay, Bob.
As if he didn't already master this whole conversation, he self-deprecates at the end, and he goes, hey, you know what, if Jessica Alba calls in, I'll do it. He's already just completely owned everybody. Hey, you know what, fuck it, I'll do it if she calls in. He has masterfully played this entire thing. Right. Kudos to him.
100%, Bob. And you know how masterful it is? It's so pathetic when Robin says, "Oh, Jessica, write us today. That drops off so
She sounds like an
hard.
insane person. She sounds like a fucking lunatic.
They're also, by the way, 10 years since like the one time that Julia Roberts actually, I think she either she came in or she called in. I can't remember. But it was like a one-off and never happened again. And it's like, and Artie's like,
he goes, Julia Roberts has lost her looks. Like he's just being belligerent and flagrant. Like he's won.
Yeah, and he knows he like whatever they can pile on him. It's not this. He's got his bullshit detector glasses on, so he can see right through it.
From this show,
this is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
You're
this
on.
is replayed all day, Artie.
All right, that's it. You're done.
Girl, stop writing. Artie does not want to meet you.
Yes, doesn't even matter. He ain't gonna meet you. I'm gonna make sure of it. You know,
I'll have to meet women off the air.
When I get good luck. When I get these emails from
Go ahead, Sam.
That's interesting. Fred's giggle in the back.
Yep. Oh yeah,
he's more towards Artie than he is towards Howard, because he said, "Great." Like Artie's being, kind of gray rocking in the background, and Fred's laughing towards the gray rocking versus Howard's antagonistic.
Yep. No one laughs harder at the Pelican thing than Fred and Robin in turn, and both of whom are actually jealous that he's able to do it and that he's got the strength to do it. And I think when it does come around to it, they're like, fuck it, like go Team Artie silently. She's more despicable because she wants to say it, but she's still with Howard, like fucking parroting everything and trying to, kowtow to his king babyisms. And then I think there's a measure of self-loathing. Like I hate him for having the guts to do something I don't have the guts to do myself.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I don't know if that plays into the NPD on her 34 scale, but yeah,
you kidding?
It's got to. So
they completely resent that in other people.
All right, let's check this out.
These broads, even sometimes I get emails from people like who want to give people work and this and that. I feel I should give everybody every opportunity. I'm like that.
Now Artie's hearing this, knowing that he's fucking poo-pooed his chance to try out at the Late Late Show already. Like years he's also told him, no, you can't take time off for fucking beer league. This is well after this. So for him to hear this horse shit and not react the way he did, I would have been the same way as Artie. I would have been the exact same way. Worse, in fact, just because of my nature.
Picture the Incredible Hulk gif.
Yes.
Which is like
fucking Lou Ferrigno throwing, dressers.
I honestly think Artie starts getting into him just because he's fucking bored.
Yeah.
Like we just keep going over this, and he's just like, "All right, you want to get into it? Like this has gone on now for a half an hour. Let's get into it."
Artie's
because I'm at that point. It's like, oh my god, we're going over this shit again.
Artie's like that. Do you know that Art Deco thing where they have the five metal balls connected by a wire, and you push one, and then it goes
and then it
Yeah. Right, but Artie's just grabbing it suddenly. He's just like, "Fuck it, I want it to stop that metronome."
Yeah,
I want
it to stop. So
yeah,
he's got to want it to stop.
Absolutely,
he's bored with it.
Yep. So let's continue.
Paranoid if I don't.
Like you might be
every dumb little request.
Right.
And it's like I go,
blocking face.
Like this chick might be hot, and if I fuck Artie up on this and don't help out, I'm an asshole. That's when I'm an asshole. That's when I'm being greedy.
No, if you listen to Artie laugh,
Artie's laughing. Him and I left at the same time. Like
exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're thinking, really?
Right. Yeah, he knows. Fuck it.
Odd.
So, yeah.
Get a girl on the air. Like fat guys, I'll insult this guy who I say is my friend on the air and go, could you believe this hot chick likes fat guys? I'll do my bro, the gayest fucking thing ever, bro. Says that, and
I do douchebag.
Yeah, I know.
Is douchebag
better? listen to Fred.
Here, I'm gonna point out some parts. He goes like this. Fred's laughing. And then Artie goes, yeah, I know you do. Just like that is the ultimate fuck you to how nerdy that statement is. I do, douchebag. Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like you just totally cut him down to size.
Right.
That was, I don't know how calculated it was, but isolating that word that just took Howard down so many levels, and it was just so genius. Bro, yeah, I'm your bro. Like, cause bro, this is before bro even became a term. We all make fun of bro now. You go to a bar, you'd be like, yeah, there's a few bros at the end of the fucking table.
and bras, yeah, brah.
Yeah, bro. But he just like made Howard look like such a fucking lame. Dork. He's like, dude, he's such a lame, and it just, God, he just killed him on this. I love it.
Yeah. So let's power forward a little bit.
Yeah, and you want to know something? I thought you were a bro. Honestly,
I don't want to be a bro. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
You know exactly what it means. A dear friend. And you know what?
Fuck you. He can't take
Fuck you. You're not my fucking bro.
Good.
Fuck off.
He'll keep Fred as a bro.
It's
That's
better
right.
like
So
that.
there.
Fuck off.
Oh man.
I mean it. I mean really. Bro
He's
is
insulting.
Bro, hey, you know what? I'll tell you what, man. In my day, because I grew up in the 60s, when you called some...
Okay, he's going to start justifying the etymology of the word bro, and he's going to go into the, like, what it means to me. Meanwhile, he has nobody he doesn't fucking pay to be his friend.
He's panicked.
This is exactly before this. I thought this was Howard, like, this is Howard speak, but now since Bob's come into the picture... This is total panic speak. Bob's extremely correct. Yeah. This is him throwing out. Yeah, he's throwing grenades. He has no idea. He's in Bomberman. They trapped him in, and he's fucking gonna blow up.
It really is like those old video games where you had one button for guns and one for grenades, and then there was like a smart bomb function where like you just press that like hoping to get out of some like completely unwinnable situation. So yeah, and he's grasping at straws completely.
Somebody you bro and you fucking meant it. It meant something to people.
Well, it's 2007.
Well, okay.
Like, you know what's happening in 2007, Mr. ACDC.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen.
You're still living back in the
80s.
Fuck
right, I'm in the 80s still. He's in the 60s. It's still 20 years ahead.
I happen to use that term a lot, and you know what? Well, I use it with my friend Dr. Lou, and I use it for my friend Pat, and my friend Pat calls me a bro. So
my fucking trainer, who I pay, calls me a bro.
If my best example to anyone is my bro's my trainer, dude, fucking, I don't have any friends. Like, straight up, I just don't.
I call the cashier at the at ShopRite. You know, I call her my bro, and I call the gas station attendant my bro. Sorry, Bob, you said a trainer is a definition?
A trainer is a definition of someone who isn't your friend. Like, they're just not your friend. They're just the most direct, paid-for friend you can actually have. Like,
bro for pay.
Bro for pay, exactly.
Do you think Artie's been listening to the show up until this point and has been employed by it and realizes Howard has no friends? Since he's already previously heard, I don't have any friends that I don't pay.
Right.
And so when he says, my friend Pat Menachia, I think Artie's head just goes, oh, fuck you.
If Artie really wanted to light him up, he could turn his fucking world upside down right now. Oh, yeah. He's going about it in such a gentle way because it's how you have to move with these people. And he's going in and he knows, dude, we're not friends. You don't have friends. You don't even know what a friend is. That you're all about producing this radio show. You don't have relationships with anybody. He doesn't come out and say that, but he's sort of alludes to. He's like, dude, everything's on the air. You don't know what a friend is. You don't know what goes on with it. Like, you violate all these rules of being friends with everybody. You bring up stuff that I tell you in confidence, like, you're not a fucking friend of mine. A friend would never do something like that. At one point, you don't know what a friend is.
At one point, Artie goes, are you Benji's friend?
I know, that was a great line.
Because he's on the air. We'll have to get into that when we get into the next part. So
okay? And I'm going to fly out there next week, and I am going to straighten your ass out. And I'm going to make sure that you really get it. I'm going to make sure that you know what a rude, thoughtless little pig you really are. Do you understand? You're a rude, thoughtless pig. So be ready on Friday the 20th, because I'm coming out there. I'm going to tell you this, then I'm going to turn around, I'm going to fly right back home. You are a rude, thoughtless pig.